All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. In this one, I wanted to break down Nathaniel Hackett's offensive scheme, right? What, as Jets fans, can we really expect to see from him in 2023 from just an offensive system standpoint? Of course, there's this big question mark, disclaimer here. We don't know who's going to be playing the quarterback position. It could be a myriad of different guys, whether it's an Aaron Rodgers, a Jimmy Garoppolo, a Derek Carr. Who I believe is still realistic. He is still on the table here because of what Hackett wants to do, right? When we look at his approach with this Jets team. Now, according to Robert Saleh in his press conference that he had yesterday, he still wants to be a run-heavy team, a team that's built on running the ball, controlling the clock, and playing great defense. Now, personally, I think that's the right approach. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I am totally pumped up when I'm thinking about Rodgers in the green and white just ripping TD bombs in MetLife Stadium late in the season, or Derek Carr rallying the guys on major fourth quarter comebacks, throwing 350, 400 yards against defenses, because that is something that Derek Carr can do. I love that stuff. But I will say, when we look at personnel, we have a great defense. We have a great running back room. Let's lean into that. I don't like the approach of, yeah, we get the franchise guy. Yeah, we have an awesome quarterback. Do everything. Please carry the team, right? Put the team on your back 24/7. You have to go win us games. I don't like that approach. Can it happen, for a season or two? Sure. But I think when it doesn't matter who you're talking about here. This applies for everybody. Lamar Jackson, Jimmy G, whoever. When I look at the New York Jets, they have weapons offensively to take pressure, to alleviate some of the pressure off of the quarterback position. That's an asset. That is attractive when I'm looking at the Jets' job. You can make the same argument for the Raiders, right? With Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs. They have guys on that roster to lean on. The thing that the Raiders don't have is a top 5 defense, which the Jets do. Okay, so I don't want to try to come in and reinvent the wheel, allow Derek Carr, allow Aaron Rodgers to throw 50 times a game. If it needs to happen, it needs to happen. I'm not stopping it, right, for sure. But I think overall, to enter games on Sunday, knowing that the quarterback position doesn't have to do everything, doesn't have to play perfectly for the team to win. And look, you can make an argument that was kind of the case outside of Davante Adams, outside of Aaron Jones. That's really what was happening throughout Aaron Rodgers' career, right? It was always, can we get Aaron Rodgers some help? Can we get this guy some more wide receivers? Why don't they draft wide receivers in the first round? I don't know. Same thing with the Raiders. Yeah, they had some offensive skill pieces, but you look at the defense, it's been one of the worst in football. I want to say almost every year that he's been a Raider. You look at the fourth quarter comebacks alone. He constantly has to come out and win from behind. That offense has to score, 30 points to rack up wins? It's crazy. The Jets they are not in that position. They're in a position where, what do they need? 24 points? 20 points, 21 points, and this team can go far into the playoffs. That is huge. Hey, can you score 3 touchdowns today? Can you score 2 touchdowns and get a couple field goals? We'll probably win the game. That's not an over-exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. If we go back and look at the New York Jets' losses this season, look, of course there were some some performances where the Jets completely dropped the ball, especially late in the season. But we could point to tons of games throughout the entire year where it's like, hey, if the Jets had 20 points, we'd have the win. If the Jets had 13 points, they would have walked away with the win. If the Jets would have scored a touchdown offensively, the chances of winning would have skyrocketed. And, no matter who it is playing the quarterback position, when I look at Saleh's approach, his initial approach going into the year, run heavy, play great defense, and let the quarterback do his thing. I gotta say, I really like it. Now, moving on to this scheme itself, it's going to be a West Coast system. Again, I think it's the right move here. We look at the personnel for the Jets, they already fit. When I look at Breece Hall at running back, when I look at Michael Carter, when I look at Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, these guys, do they bring the skill set required to play in a rhythmic based system like this? The answer is yes. right? Wide receivers, can you snap off good routes? Can you separate from corners, specifically in the short passing game? Do you have wide receivers on the roster that can hurt you on the outside, on the inside, that can maybe take an end around to the house? Can you throw a screen to them and watch them work in open space? The answer is yes. Right? Even Braxton Berrios fits the system as well. I know he had a down year, but the Jets have personnel. It's not like when Saleh first came in and he's transitioning from the 3-4 that the Jets ran forever under Rex Bowles and Greg Williams, and it's like, okay, we got to overhaul this thing. We need edge rushers. We got to completely change the approach, completely change the scheme, the mentality on how this team played. And what ended up happening? They finished with the worst defense in football. It's not going to be this massive undertaking. Okay, so I like that. I like that idea, right? Come in, same system. It's not going to be the same exact system that we saw with Mike LaFleur, obviously, but the concepts, the scheme is the same. And another positive about that, again, no matter what quarterback you're looking at, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, I know there's still some Mike White supporters out there. All of these guys fit the West Coast scheme. So I think on multiple fronts, this is a good idea. Now, another thing that I'm really, really excited about is the red zone for the 2023 Jets. Again, this applies to multiple quarterbacks running it because we look at Hackett and the success that he had specifically in 2020 and 2021 with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers here. They were awesome. Flat out awesome, especially in 2020 when they were scoring touchdowns over 80% of the time. That's the best in the NFL since 1999. Obviously, they were first in the NFL in red zone scoring efficiency, scoring touchdown efficiency. 2021, they come back, a little bit of a drop off, but they were third best in the NFL, scoring at 68 or just over 68% of the time. You look at when Hackett left, the Packers red zone offense completely plummeted, falling all the way to literally the bottom section of the NFL, late 20s there. You look at the Jets red zone offense, pitiful, 31st last season, 31st. And I just immediately think of the Viking game. Hey, if we were a little bit more efficient, we probably would have won that game. Changing the mentality, changing maybe the rest of the season. But I digress, right? 31st ranked red zone scoring touchdown efficiency, not good. I'm expecting that number to go up. Another interesting little bit of information here. We look at the offensive line coach / running game coordinator, Keith Carter. He's coming from Tennessee. And the Titans have been a top red zone team the last 4 seasons. So all of a sudden, in 24 hours here, the Jets have landed 2 guys that excel in the red zone. That is big time. That is big time because it was one of the Achilles heel, one of the many problems that the Jets offense had. I'm looking at both of these guys. If they could alleviate that issue, all of a sudden we can start turning 3 points into 6 points, 3 points into 7 points here, assuming Zerline gets brought back. That is going to be massive for this football team. Now, transitioning to back to the running game here, because I really want to focus on this. I know it's super exciting to think about Rodgers and all these different quarterback possibilities, but Breece Hall is coming back from injury. AVT's coming back from injury. I still really love Michael Carter, who came onto the scene late. Bam Knight. Everybody else is struggling around him. Not Bam Knight. He was really making an impact. Keith Carter. Yes, he's coming over with that red zone success with the Tennessee Titans, but when you think about the Titans, what do you think of? I think of Derrick Henry. I think of controlling the clock, offensive linemen mauling defenders, really setting the tone in the trenches. If the Jets can get that style, of course, I'm not expecting a 2,000-yard season from these guys. I'm not putting those expectations on Breece Hall a year after a lower body injury where he had to miss the season. Not at all, but if we can kind of adapt that mentality year 1 and then year 2 really pick it up with having one of these star quarterbacks on the roster, I think that is going to be huge. It is going to be massive for this team moving forward. So next season, I'm expecting this team to really rely on the running game, really try to control the clock. That's something that the Jets just did not do this past season. I felt like almost every game they were losing time of possession, and they didn't really run the ball all that much. When we look at like rush play percentage, again, bottom of the league. LaFleur had a tendency to go away from the running game. It was like a gain of 1, okay, we're throwing it, and everybody in the building knows it. To stick to the running game, I think, is huge. Relying on quick passing, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands, beating teams within the pocket, I think it's going to be massive. Obviously, focusing in and honing in on the red zone efficiency, and I'm excited. No matter who it is at the quarterback position, I'm excited to see a former play caller running the show here. I know Hackett's not elite. I'm not saying he's a top 3, top 5 guy. I'm not saying he's even a top 10 offensive coordinator. But I think right now, when I look at where the Jets struggle, when I go down my personal checklist of what the Jets need offensively, Hackett, you can cross off a lot of the, a lot of the things on, again, my personal wish list here. So, it'll be interesting, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.